And so it all comes down to this. Will the heroes of the DC Universe be able to defeat the evil machinations of Amanda Waller and reclaim their stolen powers? Well, let's hop into the pages of Absolute Power issue number 4, the grand finale to this event, and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we join the book, we check on in with Amanda Waller and Green Arrow, the last of her agents left standing at their Gamorra base of operations. The wheels have truly and fully come off the cart now, as one by one Waller's many different assets begin to fall like dominoes. Some of her robot Amazo agents can't be hailed. Her most important prisoners have been liberated, and now a force of heroes is marshalling within the Dark Roads to launch one final last-ditch assault to deal with her in Task Force 7 once and for all. Nightwing gives an impassioned speech once again to help fire up the superhero community as they head into the line of fire. Again, keep in mind, most of them don't actually have their abilities right now. And Task Force 7 not only outnumbers them, but they also come packing a bunch of weapons that they managed to steal from the Justice League headquarters. Only here's the thing though, remember who was actually upkeeping and cataloging those weapons for Waller? Yep, that's right, it was Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, meaning that when the bad guys need these weapons the most, they end up backfiring on them. It's after that the rest of the issue is basically one giant knockdown, drag-out battle, which, you know, is fine, but doesn't always lend to good video making like this, mainly because for once all the actual heavy lifting when it comes to story and characterization was actually handled in the tie-ins for once. So if it seems like I'm jumping around a lot just trying to highlight the juiciest bits, it's because I absolutely am. Now, in the bowels of the former Hall of Justice, the Flash is dealing with Waller's Plan B, basically a dimensional portal that at her request will end up flooding the Prime Earth with evil beings loyal to her from other Earths. Kind of fun if you ask me. When Waller is completely cornered, she ends up falling back on her classic Suicide Squad tactics of weaponizing villains to do her dirty work. Wonder Woman kind of gets a fun moment too, wherein she faces down Steel, because those two have kind of been having it out in her main book even before Absolute Power started. Steve Trevor was also really helpful too in getting the heroes everything they needed in the tie-ins to actually launch this big attack, though he does not actually appear here in the big finale. Green Lantern is able to back up the Flash when it comes to trying to keep the multiversal invaders at bay. Unfortunately, to properly shut down Waller's machine, Barry will basically have to end up completely cutting this world off from the rest of the multiverse. In fact, by the end of the story, we discover doing this also drained the Flash of his own multiversal abilities. This doesn't actually have much to do with the main Absolute Power story, but it is actually the impetus behind the launch of the brand new Absolute DC Universe coming very soon. In fact, hey, I'll talk about that more tomorrow when I cover DC All-In Special. In the end, it's actually Nightwing and John Kent the Superman who decide to face Waller down one-on-one, which again makes a lot of sense if you've been reading Taylor's Titans series. Nightwing and Waller have been on a collision course. Now, the Wall isn't completely useless. She comes packing a shard of kryptonite to deal with Superman's son, and there's still the matter of the fail-safe robot to fight off Nightwing. Now, how exactly are the good guys going to deal with the Amazo threats and get their powers back? Well, this is where Batman comes in. You see, he's been working with the liberated Time Commander to try and jerry-rig a way to overcome the Amazo's amazing healing abilities. Now, if you'll recall, each of these brand new Amazo robots actually come packing their own internal Commander Hourglass, meaning if they overload the time travel technology, not only can they destroy the robots, but also rewind time to before they actually stole the Justice League and assorted heroes' powers. Which is exactly what they end up doing, and not a moment too soon either, as outside the fight was slowly but surely starting to turn in the Amazo's favor. Poor Aquaman even almost getting his head crushed. Why, it's actually even Green Arrow himself who ends up icing the first Amazo, once again showing that he is indeed back on the side of good and justice once more, despite his double agent status. The Amazos lose their power, and even Failsafe himself ends up falling weakened as well. However, it's neither Nightwing or John, surprisingly enough, who end up dealing the final blow against Waller. It's actually the returning Dreamer. How on earth did she survive the destruction of the Fortress of Solitude? Well, as she explains, because John the Superboy remembered her and kept her so close in his mind. She was able to reform herself inside the Dream Realm, so she's basically immortal so long as people remember her. Also, this would make a lot more sense if you read that John Kent tie-in book, which I don't want to relitigate it here, but wasn't exactly a good book and seemed to exist solely to create a relationship between John and Dreamer that didn't exist before out of whole cloth off, but hey, they kinda pay it off here. And it's actually pretty satisfying if you read that Suicide Squad Dream Team prologue to Absolute Power, wherein Waller sought to weaponize Dreamer. So yeah, the heroes finally get their powers back, meaning they're free to mop up what's left of Task Force 7. Now you might also be wondering to yourself, hey, how was Green Arrow able to trick everyone into thinking he was actually on the bad guy's side? Well, as Ollie explains, he was able to get inside Waller's inner sanctum by making even her mind readers and psychics think that he was a true believer in her anti-superhero cause. Which was made possible thanks to the Martian Manhunter John Jones literally messing with Ollie's brain to make him believe it was true all along. John never got to tell anyone because he was one of the first heroes that was captured when all hell broke out. Batman is still mad at Green Arrow's betrayal, but let's face it, he's probably just mad that for once in a big event, he didn't get to be the one with a special secret. A defeated and dejected Waller says that this won't possibly be the end of her. After all, she's too powerful, she's collected too many secrets, has too much blackmail material on powerful people, and even if the heroes did manage to beat her today, there's no way they'll ever regain the trust of the American people, not with Task Force 7's AI fake news machine working overtime to discredit them. Luckily, Nightwing figured that Waller would go on an oh-so-cliche villainous rant, and as such, he was sure to make use of Airwave's ability to interact with Wi-Fi signals to make sure that every person on Earth saw Waller's little meltdown right now, which honestly, you know this is a comic book fantasy because the world instantly believed everything they heard the first time. Unlike, you know, sadly in the real world where people admit to bad stuff on film all the time and they still end up having like 50% of their followers. Now, for threatening the world and the superhero community the way she did, what is Waller's ultimate punishment? Oh, well, it's a doozy and ultimately quite poetic. She will serve out her sentence in solitary in her own prison of Bel Rev. And her new warden turns out to be none other than Dreamer, the same woman who she hoped to use, abuse, and manipulate to kick off all of these events before Absolute Power actually started. Dreamer also decided to go the extra mile too when it went to punishing Waller, going above Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman's head using her dream abilities to steal away Waller's most important memories while she slept. Yeah, that's right, she literally gave the wall a taste of her own medicine, meaning that Amanda Waller, the great spy master, now officially cannot remember any of the intel or dirt she had on the superhero community, meaning she is basically, well, a shadow of nothing. Forced to live out the rest of her days knowing that not so long ago she held the world in her hand. Now, as the comic winds down, we're treated to some fallout from all of these events. It seems that while most of the superhero community got their powers back, it wasn't so easy for everyone else. Some powers came back to the wrong heroes, and some came back not at all, meaning that the heroes are going to have to try and track down where the powers went and who their new owners might be. As far as Green Arrow goes too, the Trinity would absolutely love to throw the book at him right now. Yes, he was instrumental in helping save the day, but there were still about a million different ways Ollie's plan could have gone wrong, and again, it speaks to a lack of trust. That being said, though, Green Arrow actually has one hell of a speech chambered saying that he wouldn't have had to have done any of this if only the Justice League wasn't so short-sighted as to break up, and honestly, this just feels like Mark Waid himself talking about why the team should never have been disbanded. No offense to Nightwing and what the Titans are doing. And honestly, the Trinity agrees. Waller caught them unaware in a blind spot, and they're going to make sure that never happens again. The Justice League will be reforming with a brand new team and a brand new space base of operations. But to find out what happens after that, you'll have to pick up Justice League Unlimited coming soon, and so that was Absolute Power issue number 4, everybody. A pretty damn satisfying finale to what ended up being a pretty damn satisfying event. Action was good, art was good, characterization and storytelling was pretty solid, even if I feel some of the biggest stuff actually ended up happening in the tie-ins, but hey, maybe that means you'll actually read them for a change. As a big fan of Amanda Waller, I was super happy to see her get the focus as a villain, and that her downfall was equally as satisfying as her rise to big event-sized villain. More than anything though, I think I got to give this series its props for being short, sweet, to the point, and also setting up several new interesting stories that I definitely want to check out, including but not limited to Justice League Unlimited, but also the brand new Absolute DC Universe. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one a solid 8 out of 10. I don't know if this is going to be on my best of the year list when everything is said and done, but it certainly has a chance, which is rare for big events. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.